Hello, everyone. Again, I'm Anu Jokinnon. I'm your Program Quality Director for District 2, and I'm super excited to have this contest training. We have a great training for you. Tommy and Jeff have put a lot of time into this and very thoughtful training they have created, and I'd like to introduce them now to you. So Contest Chair Jeff Copeland, Toastmasters membership, is old enough to vote, but not yet old enough to buy beer. He's been a contest Toastmaster, a judge, chief judge, and he's been a contest chair at every level from club to district, including 5 contests at all levels during the pandemic year. He's also competed from club level to representing District 2 in the regional quarterfinals. We're super excited to have Jeff as our contest chair. And also doing the training is our chief judge, Tommy Price. Tommy joined Toastmasters in 2015 and entered the humor speech contest in 2016, making it to the division contest. Since that first time as a contestant, Tommy has been part of District 2 contests, filling almost every role with the exception of division and district chief judge, which will happen this year. He even had the exceptional virtual opportunity to serve as chief judge for District 97, Division N in Vietnam. And just as a note of interest, all the judges for the Vietnam contest were also members of District 2. So we have high quality trainers for you today that have been doing contests for a very, very long time. And what we'll be doing is that Tommy and Jeff will be conducting the training, and then periodically we'll be doing some quizzes. So as many of you know, my background is in elementary ed, and so I'm a former educator, and so I do love quizzes to make sure we're testing your knowledge on things. And the way we're going to do it is that I'll put either a question in the chat or verbally ask it, and then just have you submit your responses in the chat. And just to get us going, how many contests between Jeff and Tommy do you think they have done combined? So how many contests between the two of them have they been part of? Is it 25? Is it 50? Is it 75? Or is it 100? Go ahead and place it in the chat. Very good. Awesome. We'll just wait a couple more. There are a lot of people thinking it's 50, a couple 75 and 100. All right. The answer is it's 100. So they have done this a lot. So they are experts at this. So feel free to be asking them questions as we go along. But with that, I want to turn it over to Jeff to go ahead and start the training. Take it away, Jeff.
Thanks very much, Anu. So fundamentally tonight, we're going to tell you how to run this year's contests. The reason that the title of the presentation is The How and Why Wonder Book of Contests is Tommy and I are of an age where we grew up with a series of books called the How and Why Wonder Books, which told us how to learn electronics or about weather or about chemistry. And so we fixated on that. And this is the introduction to how to do a contest. But let me warn you, we have shared the deck with you so you can take notes on it. Remember that the deck is the notes. It's not the presentation itself. And also I'm going to warn you, as Anu pointed out in her introduction, Tommy and I have been doing this for a while. And so a lot of this is internal knowledge for us. If we slop over a detail or we assume something that you don't know, stop us, put a question in the chat. Anu will smack us upside the head and make sure that we've backed up and answered your question. Okay? As you know, this year, D2 is having both a speech contest and a table topics contest. So we need to tell you where to get help, how you need to prepare, the details of what happens at the contest, and how to follow up when the contest is over. We're going to finish up with a list of resources and contact information for us, and we'll do a Q&A just to make sure that we haven't missed anything. Tommy and Aaron, and I'm sure Bob King, have heard me say this a lot, but if you want to improve your speaking skills, you enter the contest. If you want to improve your leadership skills, you organize the contest. Okay, your responsibilities are pretty straightforward. You need to read the rule book, and then you need to read the rule book, and then you need to read the rule book. I haven't gone so far as to start sleeping with the rule book under my pillow, but Tommy's copy has a bunch of paper clips in it. My copy has a bunch of highlights and marginal notes. We've been doing this a while, so we're pretty familiar with the rules, but in the last week, Tommy and I have both read the rule book through one more time. We would love for you guys all to be as familiar with it that you can catch us if we miss a detail. And if you do, that'll make you eligible to be the chief judge or the contest chair next time. You also need to make sure that you're providing a fair competition. You need a level playing field so that every contestant has the same opportunity, the same space, the same microphone, that it's completely fair and honest. That's the contestant side of the equation. You also need to put on an entertaining contest for the audience. Remember, the speech contest is serious business. At the club level, you are 7 speeches from being the world champion of public speaking. And if you get there, your career is made. So we need to be fair at every level. Oh yeah, and also, by the way, remember to read the rule book. The rule book is your shield. It is your cover. You have to follow the rule book, or your whole contest can be disqualified. Okay? And if your contest is disqualified, no matter how well the contestants did, they can't advance. Okay, so you've got some tools in your toolbox. All together now, you've got the rule book. We have put together a spreadsheet for you to help manage your contest. Anu is going to put that on the D2 contest page, and we'll give you a link to that a little later. There is an eligibility assistant at Toastmasters International, which will tell you whether people are eligible for the contest. And we'll talk about that a little bit in a minute. But your most important tool is your team. And we will get to that again in a moment. How do you know if a contestant is eligible? Okay, it's pretty simple. For us, the speech contest, the contestants have to have completed level 1 and level 2 in any path, and they have to be a member in good standing of a club in good standing. Fundamentally, that means they've paid their dues, the club has paid their dues, and there are a minimum number of members in the club. A tabletop contestant just has to be a member in good standing of a club in good standing. Here's the wrinkle. If you are ineligible at any stage, you're ineligible the whole way up. If I enter my club contest and I've only completed 1 speech in level 2, but then I win my club contest, by the time I get to area, if I finished level 2, I'm still not eligible. The ineligibility can't be removed. So Remember that.
Your team. Now, I'm going to reference something that I know a few of us in the room know besides myself and Jeff. And that would be Bob King, Linda Eastlick, Aaron, Megan, possibly a few others. I'm not looking because we all go back that far with doing this. Let me answer a question. Where is your team? Look at everybody in this deck. The way we used to do this before the pandemic is every division supported every other division. Areas supported areas within the division. Division directors used to make deals, and we did. I'll get 4 of my area directors to judge your contest if you'll bring yourself and 4 of yours to judge mine. So this team is your best resource, first best resource. Second way, networking. Who do you know in Toastmasters? One of the first places I'm going to go look is either in my phone contacts, my email contacts, or I'm going to get on Facebook and look at my Toastmasters group and find everybody in it. And most of you know who's already in that. Megan from Division F was already emailing some questions earlier, and she answered in one of her emails, okay, I'll network. Networking is key. It's not just business, it's Toastmasters. And it can go so far. Thomas Hager knew to put 100 contests down because he was at every one of those 100 contests with me. That's how he knew. And most of the people in this district that I know, I got to know through contests. So that's the who and the where. Let's look at your team. The top 3 are the contest chair, the contest toastmaster, and the chief judge. All of these have checklists in the back of your rule book. They are complete checklists. One thing I want to warn about is this, and I know we get rushed. Contest chair and contest toastmaster do not need to be the same person. For your sanity and the sanity of your contest, you do not want to do that to yourself. So contest chair, I hope you don't take offense to the way I'm going to word this, but the contest chair is God and goddess, God or goddess of their contest, and the rule book is their Bible. And they can, that's what rules the contest. The contest chair has the attitude that's going to set the attitude for the rest of the team on the contest. This happens every now and then, and I know it happened a few years ago when I was helping out with some contests. If you've never been to a contest and you're working a contest this season, do everyone a favor, visit somebody else's contest, volunteer for their contest before you start working in your own contest. Find that experience. The way it will help you is totally incredible. The contest toastmaster needs to be about as knowledgeable of contest as the contest chair and the chief judge, because the contest toastmaster is going to do briefings, run the meeting. It is possible to have a rookie toastmaster, but I'm going to encourage you to have one, even if it's their first time as contest toastmaster. They know what happens at a contest. 2 Toastmaster nightmares. Jeff and I were both working a contest, and in the silent time, the Toastmaster started talking and transitioning like we do at a club meeting. Guess what? He was clueless about being silent in the silence. He'd never been to a contest before. The other one, this still makes my blood boil. I think Bob King was there. I'm pretty sure Linda Eastlick was there. Megan might have been there for this one. It was a contest at a church. The Toastmaster introduced the speaker. The speaker got up and got started. The Toastmaster was on the front pew, first of all, not even paying attention to the speaker, flipping pages in his agenda and stuff. 3 minutes into her speech, he got up, walked across the front in front of the speaker, down the aisle of the church, across the back, and up the side to say something to the chief judge, and then walked back the same way. Those of us that were there were totally mortified. It's just, believe me. So training and experience are two of the key things. The chief judge. The chief judge needs to at least have judged up to the level they're being chief judge, if not beyond. They need to know contest inside and out. They need to know about the judges. They need to know about the tiebreaker judges. They need to know what the Toastmaster is going to do. They need to know everything that's going to happen in that meeting, because they're the fallback and they're the observer. And Jeff mentioned this, and I'm going to say it again. If the rule book is not followed in your contest, and what was the rules that were not followed affected the how the contest worked out, your contest can and probably will be disqualified, and your contestants will then be disqualified. The judges, hopefully they have judged before. Now, granted, contests are a great time to train people and introduce them to contests. One thing you do not want 5 rookie judges. Balance your judges. If you're going to have some who've never done it before, that's fine. Have a couple and have some experience at the same time. You've got it with the chief judge, but you need it with the others too. It will greatly assist in the judging and how your contest turns out and how it supports the winners. Tiebreaker judge is one of those judges. And if you know me, you know this is my pet peeve as a judge. The tiebreaker judge is known to one person. And you can put this in the chat, please. Who is the only person in the contest who knows who the tiebreaker judge is? Chief judge. And on the spreadsheet you've been given, it will say tiebreaker judge, but there's a space over there that says only the chief judge knows. The chief judge is the only one who has contact with the tiebreaker judge. The tiebreaker judge needs to be more experienced than the rest of your judges and as experienced as your chief judge. Because that tiebreaker, it does come into effect. 5 judges for area, 7 judges for division. 2 timers. 2 timers. 2 timing devices, not 2 people looking at one. Each timer has to fill out a report. There's specific reasons for 2 timers. If one timing device goes down, you've got another one. Somebody put this in the chat or come off. If you end up and one timer has the contestant 5 seconds safe in the timing and the other timer has them 2 seconds over, why is that important for 2 judges, for 2 timers? What's going to happen? Anyone know? You're going to favor the time that favors the contestant, even if it's that 1 second or 2 seconds. You're going to use that time to favor. Timers have a form they have to fill out. We'll go over more of this later. Ballot counters, 2 at area, 2 at division, maybe 3 depending on the size of the venue and how many people are there. That's exactly what it means, Katie. That's exactly what it means. And since I'm the chief judge for that area contest, Yes, I will select the chief judge, and I'm the only one that knows. Ballot counters. They will go around after the voting at the end of each contest and collect the ballots. People hold them up. The tiebreaker judge is going to hold up theirs. The chief judge needs to be standing near the tiebreaker judge because the chief judge is going to take that ballot. Please educate your ballot counters because a couple of times when I was chief judge, I got some dirty looks from some chief judges because I was taking a ballot that they couldn't get, but I was supposed to. It was the tiebreaker ballot. At least 2 sergeant at arms. This is especially critical for table topics. You're going to have 1 sergeant at arms in the room with the contestants, isolated from the contest, and you're going to have 1 who walks the contestant back to the contest from the holding area. So you have to have 2 sergeant at arms. That last word, backups, backups, backups. Have somebody, at least 1, who knows how to do multiple things. So if you need to plug them in, you can plug them in. Let's look at judges. Look at that top one. This came up last year. It was an accident that it happened. Won't say what division it happened in, but it might have been Division A. You can either compete or you can judge, not both. We have people always go, they're in a contest in Division D. Can they judge in Division A? No. If you're a contestant, you're a contestant. Backup judges too. Thank you, Thomas. Always have a couple. You need the backups. You've got to cover yourself on the contest because if you don't have the correct people, that's enough of the correct people. That's in line with the rule book. And that's going to cause a problem for your contest. Judges at the area and above must be a paid member for at least 6 months and a club of good standing. Both. Have completed both levels of a pathway. That's usually not an issue. And to bring us back to reality for what we're doing for contest, for area and up, the judge has to be in the room. Physically there. We might want to put physically, mentally, and emotionally there, but they need to be in the room.
Tommy, do you see that question from Katie?
Yeah, I was just saying.
Yeah.
Yes, that's exactly what it means, Katie. The chief judge for your contest recruits the tiebreaker judge.
No.
For an example here, the reason that Katie's probably asking that is I'm the chief judge for Katie and Patrice's area contest. I will recruit the tiebreaker judge.
No.
I will work with them on the judges.
So
That's a different question.
Katie's got a later question. She's asked, what if somebody doesn't win at the club contest, then they are eligible to judge at later contests, correct? So if you wash out of the sequence, you can judge or staff a later contest, correct?
Technically you can, but if you're going to do that, you need to have a balance of judges from the rest of your clubs, or it just might look a little funny. Just saying, okay? We want to be above board for everything. Was that the last question, Jeff?
Yes, it was.
Thank you, Katie. Keep me sharp. Judges can't be a member of a competitor's club. Believe it or not, this always comes up. Every judging season, this comes up. So, and that exception, unless you have a judge from every club in the area. Make sure your judges read the qualifications on the back of the form. The judges' forms go to the chief judge. Even if they return them to the contest chair, the contest chair is going to forward them to the chief judge. Okay, any questions up to this point? Because I think there's a quiz coming up. Okay, it's quiz time.
All right. Thank you, Tommy and Jeff. That was a great, great start. Lots of helpful information. So I'm actually going to put two questions on here. I'm going to do first the first question here into the chat and let me know, is that true or false? You can do both, compete in a contest and be a judge. Looks like we got a lot of people. Yep, false. The answer is false. All right, here's one more question and then we'll begin the next section. Will you read the contest rulebook? Yes or no? Yes, okay. We have documentation that you all will be reading that contest rulebook. All right, I hand it back to you all, Jeff and Tommy.
Thank you, Anu. Yeah, sleep with it under your pillow if you need to, but read it one way or the other. If you know the humorist Dave Barry, he wrote a column years and years ago about the time of his second marriage, about the phone call coming in as the bride and the mother of the bride are panicking wildly as the wedding date approaches, and the phone rings and the mother of bride picks it up and there's a man's voice at the other end and she says, "Who is this?" And the man at the other end says, I'm going to be your son-in-law. I'm the groom." And the mother-in-law says, "Are we having a groom at the wedding?" Well, similarly, you've got to have a place to hold the contest. You want to think about a suitable venue depending on where the contestants are located and how many people are involved. So we'll talk about the how many people in a moment, but I know that areas 11 and 12 are talking about a joint contest. That's spread not just across Whatcom and Skagit counties, but out onto Whidbey. And so where to hold that contest. And so we're sort of juggling. I know that Ash is juggling a number of possible venues for that. Tommy, you want to talk about why you might want to have a backup venue in your back pocket?
Certainly. Something can always happen. Bob King's gonna laugh at this one because he knows it. You have worked for a month. You have everything in place. Everybody knows the venue. Everybody's agreed to be there. It's Wednesday afternoon and your contest is Saturday morning at 9 o'clock and the phone rings and it's the venue going, "We've had an emergency. You can't use the facility." It happened to be a church and they had a church situation with a family that needed support. And that actually made it okay. But you don't want to have to do what I did and find the new venue for Saturday morning by Thursday night. And we did. And we did it through networking. I involved people in my home club from Boeing. I used everybody. I had 40 different people trying to find the venue for Saturday morning. And we found one. Have a backup. No, you might even ask them, is there anything that could happen that could cancel this? If you're using a church, there actually could be.
Yeah, we talked earlier about networking. This is a case where networking pays off. Having a broad network is a win. You also need to figure out when you're going to hold the contest. In person makes things a little more complicated because people need to get there. 8 o'clock on a Saturday morning is not going to work as easily as 10 o'clock on a Saturday. I'm retired. There is no 7 o'clock in the morning anymore. Saturday is best, but there are only so many Saturdays in the contest season, right? And For those of you who are scheduling division contests, remember that the district chief judge is also the chief judge at the division contest traditionally. You need to know how many contestants you're getting from the level below. So if you're setting up an area contest, you need to know how many clubs are sending you contestants in both contests. You will get a Form 1182 from each contest below with the winners. If you are a week out from the contest and you have not gotten an 1182 from all of the clubs in your area or all of the areas in your division, you need to make phone calls and rattle cages. This is where the contest spreadsheet will come in handy. You enter the contestants in the spreadsheet, and you can check off their forms, their eligibility and profile forms as they come in. That form with the results from the previous contest will also tell you what the places were. So you'll get first place, second place, third place on that form. It might be the case that the first place in that earlier contest can't compete or is ineligible for some reason or has a family emergency and can't make it. So the second place person will compete in their place. So keep that results list from the previous contest handy. As the contest chair, you're going to get a stack of forms. You'll get a judge's certification form and 1170 from each judge, except for the tie-breaking judge, who should correspond only with the chief judge. Those judges' certifications go to the chief judge. You'll get a speaker certification and a contestant profile from each contestant. The speaker certification goes to the contest chair to revalidate the eligibility of the speaker. The contestant profile goes to the Toastmaster. The Toastmaster is going to use that as crib notes when he or she interviews the contestant. And again, you're getting Form 1182 from the level below. Lisa has a question about fees and nonprofit organizations. Yeah, okay, and Sarah's answered that in the chat. Thank you. As the contest chair, you want to double check contestants' eligibility. You use the eligibility tool at TI. That doesn't tell you the education level. So you'll have to check that with the VPE of the contestants club. Also, and we didn't talk about that earlier, you can't compete if you're a candidate for a district office or a presenter at the event where the contest is being held, or there are 2 pages in chapter 2 of the rule book about all of the exceptions. And again, remember that ineligibility is inherited. Eligibility and eligibility both are inherited. Yeah, make sure that you know what the places are so that you can, if the first place in the earlier contest can't compete, you can get a hold of the second place, etc. You also, before the contest, you need to figure out the agenda. On that contest spreadsheet, there is a sheet that allows you to calculate the timing based on how many contestants there are, so that you can put together the agenda and know what your run time is going to be for the contest. Contest chair and the Toastmaster ahead of time will get together and prepare a script. There is a form for this script, and we'll share that also on the district contest webpage. Oh, yeah, you might want to read the rule book one more time. let me show you. Thank you, Anu. She's got a link to the spreadsheet in the chat. Here is the eligibility tool. It is buried down a couple of levels on the TI website. So I always just search for eligibility, and it is a little wonky. You need to provide the whole 8-digit member number preceded by PN dash and the contestant's last name. And what it spits out for you is this information. It tells what clubs the contestant is a member of, and what their membership status is, and what the club's status is. All right. We're not just having a speech contest this year, we're having a table topics contest. The contest chair picks the table topics question. But here's an important by the way. Along with the information you're gathering from the previous level contest about the winners, you also want to know what the table topics question was that was asked at each of those previous contests, because we don't want to repeat the question that some contestant has heard before. So when we get to the district contest, I'm going to want the division directors to tell me what questions they asked at the division contests, and the division directors will tell me also what questions were asked at the area contests. Tommy,
Jeff,
you want to talk about?
Jeff, can I stick one thing in about table topics?
Please.
Make sure it's an actual question, formed and worded as a question. Avoid very complicated ones. There was one at district table topics about 8 or 9 years ago. And it was a question like, you're going to a Christmas party and all of these famous people are there, and you're going to use a pumpkin and a tennis racket and a kitchen knife or something. And you had to make up a story that involved those people and how those 3 objects were being used in the party and so on and so forth. I can tell you the winner of that contest was the only one who remembered everything. Don't make it that complicated, please.
And yes, as long as you don't need to know the airspeed velocity of an unladen sparrow, you're probably okay, right? Tommy, you were going to talk about what happens at the contest for the judges. Oh, sorry. Bob's asking, does that hold Bob, you're asking about table topics questions at club level? Yes, ideally that information should filter up too. So Tommy, you want to talk about judges at the, you've already talked about some of this, but you want to talk about details of organizing the contest from the judge's point of view?
Okay, judges' responsibilities. First one, be there on time, early. Attend the briefing. Complete your eligibility paperwork ahead of time. Please don't do the chief judge and the contest chair and any favors by like, oh, I forgot, here it is. Plan, get it to them. The judges will have a form. It has a tear off section on the bottom. You have rows of numbers. You've got the qualifications. So let me say this. If there's only one contestant in a contest, you're not worried about the judging. If there's 2, it's a little bit easier for you to figure out first and second place without using the numbers. If it's a much fuller contest, use the numbers. And then you can adjust it at the end. No one knows the numbers but you. The only thing you're putting on the bottom of that form are your first, second, and third place, or first and second place. That's it. You're going to fold it in half, and you're going to hold it up, and the ballot counters are going to pick it up. Judges' responsibilities. There's an old joke that the judges are supposed to be secret, but everybody at an in-person contest knows who the judges are because they're the only people walking around with a stack of forms, a clipboard, and a pen and taking notes. If I'm your chief judge, you're going to have clipboards. It's just really easy for them. You would think this doesn't need to be said, but I'm going to say it right here. For judges, especially, for timers, you may never reveal the results of how you voted or how the timing went forever for the rest of your life. And I have had a contestant email me. You were a judge. Can you tell me how to improve and what? It's like, no. You can't offer the contestant any advice, anything for the future. You can never reveal anything. Don't even come close to it. A contest a couple of years ago that was virtual, we had to shut somebody off on their mic because they started saying too much, and we're coming really close to that line. Just don't talk about it. Tie-breaking judge. Tie-breaking judge has a completely different ballot. If there are 5 people, 5 contestants in the contest, all the other judges are naming 1, 2, and 3. The tiebreaker judge has to rank all 5 contestants. If there's 6, if there's 7, that's why you want a knowledgeable tie-breaking judge. And normally for me, there's some people in this room already, and they already know that if I'm in the right situation and it's not in their division or area, I'm probably going to call a couple of people, and they already know who they are, to come be the tie-breaking judge, because I know they've been doing this for 10 or 15 years. And I know their level of experience. Judges briefing, not the tiebreaker judge, not the tiebreaker judge, not the tiebreaker judge. This goes along with read the book, read the book, read the book. Every year, it never fails. This comes off and somebody lists the tiebreaker judge and everybody sees it. Just please don't do it. Judges briefing. You're going to look at their forms. You're going to advise them of the contest. If the contest is set up, it's possible the judges could know the order of the speakers during the briefing. It just depends on how fast everything works. That's possible. Make sure they've got the forms. Ask them to not sit near a contestant. The smaller the room, it gets a little bit hard. Everybody's still going to know who you are, but you do not want to sit near a contestant where they can be looking over your shoulder or cutting eyes or anything. It's just a temptation. Just don't. And the contestants normally spread out, so the judges have to be aware of who contestants are in the room. Disqualifications and protest. I'm breaking out the rule book for this one. Last year in a couple of contests, we had somebody going, you can protest anything in a contest. I have some inappropriate words to say no to that, but no, it is so limited. I'm going to read this straight out of the rule book. It is on page 17, section 7, page 17 of your rule book. Protests are limited to eligibility. That does come up sometimes. Originality and reference to another contestant or a contestant's speech, and must only be lodged by a voting judge or a contestant. If there's 3 contestants, 5 judges, and a tiebreaker, there's only 9 people in the room that can protest. Nobody else can say a thing. I've seen in-person contests where somebody wanted to. And I have very politely told them to sit down and shut up. But It just happens. Any protest must be lodged with the chief judge and or the contest chair. If it goes to the contest chair is going to find the chief judge. If it goes to the chief judge is going to notify the contest chair. All protests must be made before the winners are announced. Let's say this. There's 2 area contests. Each one has 3 contestants. We're going to collect the ballots at the end of those 3. We're going to go count. If you're going to have a protest before, I really suggest before the vote counting is over, you need to notify somebody. Eligibility, that should be worked out ahead of time. Originality. And my brain just went, it's 85%. Jeff, I'm looking down at you.
I don't remember the exact number. It's I think it's 75%.
75%.
Bob and I were judging a contest several years ago, and we both had a stopwatch in our hands because somebody was coming close to breaking that number. So
Got it.
okay. We're running a little tight on time, Tommy. So
Okay.
we've talked about, so day of the contest, we do briefings, we do judges briefings, we do, so contestants briefing where we decide the speaking order. We talk about where the speaking area is. We let the contestants know about where and how and where to protest and under what circumstances they can. Contestants have to be there for the briefing. If they are not there for the briefing, but show up before the contest starts, and we'll talk about how the contest starts in a minute, they can still compete, but they have to explicitly waive their right to a briefing. So at the contest, the Toastmaster is introduced, does a warm-up, explains the rules, the timer explains the timing rules. The contest starts when the Toastmaster asks the ritual question. Mr. Chief Judge, have all of the judges, timers, and ballot counters been briefed? The Toastmaster, once the contest is started, the Toastmaster introduces each speaker. And again, there's a form for this. You say the contestant's name, title of the speech, the contestant's name. Martin Luther King, I have a dream, Martin Luther King. There is 1 minute between speakers for the judges to mark their ballots. The Toastmaster has to stand still and not say anything during that minute. That is the hardest thing I have ever done as a Toastmaster, is just shutting up for that 1 minute and standing in place. Part of the reason the Toastmaster for a contest should not be a rookie. This should be something that the Toastmaster has done before. Not necessarily at a contest, but certainly has been Toastmaster for a club meeting a number of times. We had a question earlier about PowerPoint for the speech contestants. During that minute, when the speaker should be in the on-deck circle and prepping to go on stage, any setup has to happen in that minute. That includes setting up any PowerPoint. Let me warn you, though, and warn your contestants. PowerPoint is for informational stuff, not inspirational things. So doing PowerPoint in an international speech contest speech is probably not something they want to do. Okay, at the end of the contest, you ask the audience to wait until all of the ballots are collected. Tommy's talked about how that happens. And then you interview the contestant. That's where the profile form from the contestants is vital. That gives you some clues as the Toastmaster of questions to ask. And then, while that interview is going on, well, we'll talk about that in a minute. Oh, hey, what if there's only one contestant? You still interview that contestant. You still time that contestant. The contestant has to speak or has to compete against time. And then after you've interviewed the contestants, you announce the winners. But meanwhile, oh, how long is the interview? It depends on your timing for the contest. For the district contest, we're planning about 90 seconds to 2 minutes for each interview. So that'll be roughly a 15-minute chunk of a 12 to 15-minute chunk of interview. Meanwhile, in Outer Slobovia, Tommy, what's going on in the back room?
During that 2 minutes after all the contestants, 2 minutes of silence, the judges are completing their paperwork, tearing off the ballot, holding it up for collection. A tip for judges, pre-fold that bottom part of the ballot that you're going to tear off, pre-fold it, and then you can do some little tears at each end. So it's really quicker and easier to tear it off and not as noisy. The ballot counters collect the ballots while everyone is quiet, except for the tiebreaker judge, who is collected by the chief judge. All timing reports need to go to the chief judge. The timing votes go to the chief judge before, well, the ballots will be counted and we'll have a first, second, and third place. Then we use the timing report to find any disqualifications, and that will adjust the ranking. The ballot counters and the chief judge will count during the interviews. The only way I've ever seen interviews go longer in a contest is when the judging and the ballot counting and everything was taking longer. Chief judge reports the results to the contest chair using Form 1168. No scraps of paper, no writing it down, no texting it to them, no emailing it to them. Use the form. And that form is sent up to the next level contest.
And the reason, actually, there are two separate forms. There's a form for the Toastmaster and the contest chair to read the winners, and then there's a form for reporting up. And those forms are in different order. So the form for announcing the winners is third place, second place, first place. You announce them in backwards order. Meanwhile, also in the back room, the contest chair is with the ballot counters and preparing the certificates for the winners. We've talked about when protests can happen, announcing the winners. If there are two contestants, if there's one contestant, it's easy. And they've made time, they're the winner. You announce that. If there are two contestants, you announce first and second. If there are three or more contestants, you announce first, second, or third, second, and first in that order. And then there is the final ritual question. The chief judge asks the Toastmaster, "May I destroy the ballots?" That ends the contest. I think that gets us to another quiz.
Yes, and I'll just ask one this time because, again, we're running short on time. So I'm going to put the question in the chat. What is one way to check for a contestant's eligibility? Very good. Eligibility tool on Toastmasters.org. Excellent.
Is there a script in the contest in the spreadsheet or rule book? There is a checklist, and there are scripts, I believe, on the contest page. If there aren't, we'll put them there. At the end of the contest, the contest chair and the chief judge report the results to the next level's contest chair. That's the Form 1182 that you got from the level below. What goes around comes around. And at that point, it's time to celebrate, because your job is done. Your jobs are done.
Jeff, we have a quick question in the chat. Someone missed the comment about who fills out the certificate.
Certificates, that's either the contest chair or the chief judge. There is a space at the bottom of both, at the bottom of the form for both signatures. It is a nice thing to do, Katie, if you have the resources to print out all possible combinations. So you have a stack of first place certificates with every contestant's name on them, and second place certificates, and then you can just pull out the right ones and sign them and shred the ones that don't apply, right? That you didn't need, because then they're nobody has handwritten in the name at the last minute, right? So let's talk about
on the end. We did at district on the end of Clothier has great handwriting. So if you can find somebody with good handwriting,
if you can find somebody who
that's a good solution.
Yeah, if you can find somebody who's a spectacular calligrapher and they can do both the name and the contest, right? So it's all in the same handwriting, Groucho Marx, first place table topics contest, right? And at Groucho Marx at the table topics contest, of course, gets the question, why a duck, why no chicken, of course. All right, so resources. The eligibility assistant at TI, you might have guessed this, but one of your resources is the contest rulebook. Make sure that you've got the 2024-2025 edition. There are changes year to year in the rule book. The part number at the Toastmasters International website for the speech contest kit, which includes that rule book, is 1169. You can also download the table topics kit from TI, but that kit is out of date. The only things that are up to date in that package are the ballots. So be aware of that if you download the whole kit. The D2 contest spreadsheet, which Anu has sent you the link for in chat, the D2TM website, and you've got Tommy's and my email addresses, so you know where to find us with questions. That takes us by my clock at 1 hour and 46 seconds to the Q&A. So fire away. What else can we tell you all? I'm going to take this down so I can see your smiling faces. So Linda asks, are we to use Toastmasters certificates? Yes, I'd recommend it. They're in the
kit.
In the kit. Thank you. Now,
I've just had people choose not to, so I wanted clarification about how hard knows to be.
It's a Toastmasters event, so I would recommend you using a Toastmasters certificate. And it's branding, and there's consistency in there, and they look really nice.
Yeah. And the current certificates are like the slide templates that I was using tonight are not as color saturated as the old certificates were. The old certificates required a full color ink cartridge to print, and these only colored in outline.
And the district can print these certificates for you. We have a great printer relationship. So if you want some blank certificates, work with Anu and Josh, and we'll get those printed out for you guys. So you don't have
Oh.
to use your budgets for that.
Okay. Any tips? Oh, there is if the contest includes 2 areas, who's the contest chair? Yeah, and Sarah, you're correct. Technically you both are, but you know, flip a coin or arm wrestle, figure out which one of you is going to take the lead on that, just to make things simpler. And any tips on how to find and encourage someone to be a judge or a chief judge? I always find that blackmail material is helpful in that, but Tommy may have other thoughts. Again, use your network. Back when Tommy and I were area directors, we swapped. I think the area directors in Div A judged the contests in Div B, and vice versa, which is always an easy thing to do. Sarah, you're right. You find potential judges on your club visits.
I am not beyond begging if it comes down to it.
Yep.
I will make a deal, and I will hold people to it. I'm like, look, I judged for you. You know, it's time. I need support too.
Yeah.
My area, my division needs support too. Okay. And that's what we're all about here.
Right. And don't, yeah. You know, I'll buy you a cup of coffee the next time you're in town. Come and judge the contest.
I have a question.
You had a question?
Yes. So I'm the district contest Toastmaster, and I have never done it before in a speech competition. I've done the speech competition part, but not the Toastmasters part. And I'm someone who wants to be prepared and professional. Is there an opportunity for me to network so I can practice at a division or area outside of my club so I can be in tune and in the right flow when the district contest comes up? Is there a place for us to network with other areas?
I see Ellen in the other corner of my screen giving
Kendra, are you making an offer to be a contest Toastmaster in an area?
Yes.
Okay, there you go, folks.
I'll put my email and my number in the chat for you, Linda.
Be sure and check the calendar because there are more than one area on certain Saturdays. Okay, so, and I'll even throw in for Katie and Patrice and I go back a long ways in this. She's already tagged me for being chief judge. If you are not working on people for your area contest right now, pretty soon you're going to be too late.
And Tommy, I don't know whether you said this explicitly or not, but you are per force the chief judge at the division contests, correct?
Correct. Traditionally in District 2, the chief judge handles the division contest. So for division directors, I will be working with each of you. I will do the tiebreaker judge. I will support you and work with you on building your judges. There's a phrase we left out, and for contest, it takes a village.
Yep.
No one person, no 2 people can do it.
Yeah, for those of you, and Kendra, this is a detail that you and I would have talked about later, but I talked about introducing the speech contestants. For tabletop contestants, there is no speech title. So you give the speech contestant's name twice, and you read them the question twice. So, you know, as I quipped earlier, you would say, Groucho Marx. Groucho would come up to the stage, straighten his mustache, and you would read him the question twice. Why was the elephant in your pajamas when you shot him? Why was the elephant in your pajamas when you shot him?
All right, I think that is it. We're running out of time, and I do want to also I have one more thing, special thing, but first of all, I want to say a huge, huge thank you to Jeff and Tommy for conducting this training. Extremely thorough, so much information you shared, and there's so many details, but you were able to pull it together in such a concise way, manageable way, and I feel pretty excited about this season of contests. I think we're all going to do it great. And so we also provided you that spreadsheet again that has, and Jeff put that spreadsheet together. So a huge, huge thank you to Jeff for organizing it. It has all the tabs you need. It has the resources and all that. Wonderful organizer. Make sure you make a copy of it because you don't want to expose the judges' names to anybody. And then you have the contest rule book that you all promised. I have it in writing that you promised that you're going to read it multiple times.
Thank you, Anu and Tommy and Jeff and Kendra and our entire team here for working collaboratively. Keep in mind that people are very intense during contest season. Like Jeff said, this can make or break somebody's career. And so just don't take things personally. It's not about you. It's really everybody's just intense during this time. So just keep that in mind when you're going through this.